Greetings, everyone. I am Regina Y.C. Garcia, and I am my host, Karen Stewart, are just really very happy to have you here today as we celebrate um, the very song, Very Blessed, Joan Barasovska, in her new book, Unblessed, Unsung. And I'm so excited for you to hear her read from this wonderful book. It is a narrative that heralds family and family stories. And so I know personally I am very excited, and I know absolutely that Karen Stewart is very excited.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
we hope you will be excited too. I will be posting the link to this book in our chat. If you are watching this while we are being shown online or on Facebook, you'll have the link there as well. So let me tell you a little bit about Joan. Joan Barasovska lives in Orange County, North Carolina. She serves on the board of the North Carolina Poetry Society and hosts a monthly poetry series at independent bookstore McIntyre's Books. She has been published in numerous journals and anthologies, print and online. Joan has been nominated for Best of the Net and 3 times for a Pushcart Prize. Her books have been reviewed in Pedestal Magazine, Big City Lit, North Carolina Literary Review, and the Main Street Rag. She is the author of Birthing Age, Carrying Claire, and Orange Tulips. And we are so excited to have her with Unblessed Unsung. Rabbi Cynthia Kravitz says of Unblessed Unsung, Joan Barasovska weaves a layered tapestry from the lives of her Jewish immigrant family in a new collection of poems, Unblessed Unsung. Her impressionist telling of her family stories is a gateway of reflection for all of us, the children of immigrants. Jewish tradition instructs us to ask, where have you come from? Where are you now? Where are you going? The poignant poetry of Unblessed Unsung leads the way for our own journeys of self discovery. And we are so excited to witness you on this journey of self discovery. So, ladies and gentlemen, uh, Joan Barasowska.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you, Karen. I am going to get going. Do you want to pin?
You already pinned.
Really?
Yeah, you might not have, maybe it's not yet. Does everybody see it as pinned?
I don't, okay. I don't see that.
Okay, yeah, I know you're pinned because I have a link over there that says remove pin.
Okay.
We're showing up at like Brady Bunch on my screen, Regina.
Okay, let me see if I do it like this.
Yeah, there's always got to be some tech challenge. It just kind of ramps up the intensity
It's
and the
tradition.
anticipation, right?
Yeah.
Do you see it now?
Talk, Joan.
I pinned myself.
Right.
But
So however you have it set on your computer is what you will see. So I've always done it like this. It's always come up. So
Okay.
Okay, let me. Oh, okay. So, folks, try if you go up near the top of your screen with your cursor, if you're seeing Joan tiny like all the rest of us, if you go up and scroll on and find where it says view, you should be able to click on speaker. Is this right, Regina? And it should make Joan, when she starts speaking, be who you're seeing. So if that's not working for you, like wave wildly at us.
Okay. So let's begin. I dedicate this reading tonight as I dedicated the book to all those who must leave, which has recently taken on an urgent new meaning. And I'm going to begin with a poem that's not in the book, a new poem that chimes with a poem that is in the book that I'll read to you. Under the Sun. Nothing new in the news, pogroms on the rise, half the citizenry blind, soldiers at the door, and surprise on the street. Not boxcars on trains. Planes are quicker and cleaner for disappearing undesirables. This time it's brown skin, the wrong accent, speaking your mind, or just getting in the way. Another brute fits the part to a T. Dybbuk shaper, troublemaker, setter of fires, a great destroyer. What's new is the shock, but just for the Gentiles. So I'm going to show you the book. The studio wedding portrait. Can you see that? Is that good? Yeah. The studio wedding photograph of my mother's parents on the cover of Unblessed, Unsung was taken in Philadelphia in 1910. Benjamin and Elizabeth Knox are two of the 7 main characters in this history and poetry of my mother's family. In my reading, I'll skirt around the central tragedies of the story, trying to give you the essence of this family and period and of the book. There are Yiddish words and expressions in many of the poems and a Yiddish glossary in the back. Context will give you most of what you need as I read, but with this exception. The shtetls were towns and villages in the 19th century pale of settlement of the Russian Empire. They were populated by Ashkenazi Jews, mandated islands within the surrounding population. By 1941, the shtetls had all been destroyed and their inhabitants exterminated. To hold it all. What overfilled my mother spilled into me. Her family's bitter history in this country is untold. I, who hold it all, must be the teller. Dubingiai, Lithuania. Dubenik in Yiddish. Du, a tuba on the tongue. Bi, a clarinet sigh. Emptied shtetl, no more than a crossroads, a faded wooden sign. Whose face moved over your waters when Cossacks on horseback thundered the cobblestones? Jewish corpses on the roads, dumped in dense forest, unshrouded, unblessed, unsung. Village of my grandmother, tell us who stayed behind. A story too tragic for American children. In defiance of the Tsar and of Hitler, loud with Yiddish, loud with klezmer. Dubenik is mine. Docking in New York Harbor, 1908. Each step up from steerage brings her closer to the lights of a city she could not have dreamed of. Elizabeth Goldberg grasps her black wool skirt by the hem, her other hand on the cold stair rail. Her best muslin blouse sticks to her skin. The small wooden trunk of her belongings is below. The engines of the SS Rheindamm groan to silence. Elizabeth is young, healthy, strong. She knows how to sew and do fine embroidery. Her needles, thimbles, and her pincushion with its china lady on top, gift from her cousins, are wrapped in muslin and batting in the trunk. She cannot speak the language of the soldiers and doctors who will send her back or let her stay. The crowd on the deck stinks of wet wool and sweat. The babies are dirty and sick. No one has slept since the Rheindamm left Rotterdam. Elizabeth fears the men. They pinch and grab. She avoids the crowd and breathes clean night air. In her coat pocket is a letter for her mother, Gittel. How can she post it? In the letter that will never reach Dubenik, Elizabeth tells Gittel about her 19 days at sea, how the ship rocked and the people groaned and cursed. She has already seen things her mother will never see. She will never see her mother again. My grandmother tips her face up. Her spectacles catch the stars, dimmer here than in all of Lithuania. Dimmer, dimmer, but a few stars have followed her to America. The box. They are quiet in their photographs. My mother's dead. They speak to me, entreat me to explain. A magnifying glass held to their fading faces proves scant help. To listen, I must listen to myself, to memory. Wedding portrait, 1910. In the studio photograph, rumpled muslin covers the floor. Dark wax cloth makes a scrim. Bride and groom stand angled to each other. Her slight shoulder meets his chest. Her right hand grasps his. His pinky finger is bandaged. Tailors use heavy, sharp shears. She looks older, and she is slightly. By custom, a marriage broker, a shadchan, arranged the match. Ben is from Belarus, Liza from Lithuania. He's a tailor's apprentice. She's a seamstress in the same shop. The hem of Liza's gown ripples around a small bouquet of roses at her feet. She's crowned by an enormous bridal bonnet, its broad brim trimmed with puffs of white rabbit fur and roses. A tulle veil floats to the floor. Lace and fringes of white fur embellish her gown. Liza's plain, round face is impassive, framed by dark hair scraped back over her ears. She wears spectacles, even for this portrait. Ben is at least a head taller than his bride. He wears a dark suit, not a morning coat, no top hat. The jacket is well fitted to his bulky shoulders and upper body. His shoes aren't new. He's a man who turns heads, dark curly hair, full lips, a touching softness of countenance. Ben is in love with a married woman, Sarah, whom he knows from his childhood in Minsk. She lives just around the block. And my grandparents, Ben and Liza, or Benjamin and Elizabeth, had 3 children, Reuben, called Rube, Joseph, called Joe, and my mother, Elsie. Listen, if I told you I hear their voices in the apartment on Christian Street, would you visit there with me? At the table where they take their meals, or by the stove where Elizabeth stands, adding potatoes to stretch a soup. Between husband and wife, what heat, what chill, what balance of force and yield. The rooms are scrubbed raw clean. It's crowded, voices are raised. The 3 children witness everything. It's a time before parents learned to safeguard childhood. If I told you I hear cruelty in word, if not in deed, trust me. Now I'm skipping way forward in time. My grandfather had a sister, Riva, who was a bootlegger and a character. This is a persona poem, like many in Unblessed, Unsung, told from the point of view of one of the characters, and each of the characters, except one, gets a persona poem. And I'll just tell you a Yiddish word, a balabusta, is an excellent housewife. Riva mourns. Here is a photograph, 1944. Me, Liza, and Ben sit together in the sun. Light can play a trick. Ben in the middle looks like a ghost. When I was 16, a pretty girl in Minsk, my father saw how boys looked at me, so off he sent me to America to live under Ben's eye, my brother, stricter than father. See in this photograph how lively I look. A woman in her middle years, but happy to smile for the camera, not like Liza, the balabusta, only making a small grin. Back when I was young and wild, Ben kept a strong hand over me, kept me from dances and stepping out with gangsters. Many times I needed his help in my crazy life. Now I look at this picture, how my brother is faded between 2 women. All the Jews of Minsk are dead. It was Ben and me left from our family. Now, the next poem alludes to the 2 central tragedies of the book. The house on Belmar Terrace. With army death benefits and her husband a suicide, Elizabeth can buy a house far from the neighborhood and live as a widow, the scandal left behind. Joseph, her second son, lies in a common grave in the Philippines. She wonders how such a happy man was born to this family, a Jewish boy who played baseball like a hero. The small house, 2 stories, a bit of land in front to plant flowers. Upstairs, a bedroom for her, a bedroom for Elsie. Will she never marry? Dining room, living room, kitchen with a Frigidaire. A wonder she had come this far. The terror of the shtetl, the ship. In America, the crowded, dirty neighborhood, 3 children in one bed, her husband's sister a loose woman, her own silent rage. At the top of the stairs, a tiny room for sewing with a window facing the alley. Beside her sewing machine, the pincushion with a china lady on top she brought from Dubrovnik so many years ago. Rube bought furniture for her, a horsehair sofa, flowered chair, thick rug, even a television set. Rube is making money, Gott sei Dank. Every year he shows off a new Cadillac. On Belmar, she has peace when Elsie is at work, time to sit, her hardened, calloused hands resting on her lap, her swollen feet quiet on the rug when the housework is done. On a bookcase, Elizabeth puts out the lacquered tea set Joe sent from the Philippines. Nothing you put tea in, it's just to look. Deep red with gold vines, little stacking cups, a pot, a tray to hold it all. It was what she never thought she'd have, a house. She gave up a son for this. Who can tell her what he suffered? Elizabeth stews a hen for the soup, rolls matzo balls in her palms. It's Friday night. Rube and Yetta will show up soon. Elsie will set the table. So it turns out that Elsie, my mother, did get married. And this poem is about me as a child. And just one note that Shabbos is Sabbath, the Sabbath in Yiddish. And on Friday night at sundown, you light the Shabbos candles to begin the Sabbath. In Grandma Elizabeth's kitchen. Her silver Shabbos candlesticks sit near the corner of the crowded kitchen table. It's a small kitchen, open to the dining room and living room, where my parents and brother, Uncle Rube and Aunt Frances, and now the newlyweds, Brenda and Irv, talk and laugh and wait for dinner. Grandmom turns off the kitchen light. I stand beside her. She lights the candles, circles her open hands above the flames 3 times, then lifts her fingertips to her forehead as if to draw warmth to her eyes. Her blessing is whispered. We whisper Amen together. I understand that this act is forbidden and vaguely shameful. Somehow I understand that my mother's disdain for faith drove Shabbos into the kitchen. But I don't care. I stand beside my grandmother and study the flames. Now, throughout the book, there are poems inspired by photos of my mother, from her childhood to this one I took of her in death. Last photo of my mother. Struck silent, unasleep, broad hands crossed, faded, flowered house dress, hair composed, eyes closed, What began in the shtetl dies with her. Blessed, sung, a decade past her last day. And this is the last poem that I'll read. Elizabeth's Travels. In death, she returned to Dubinic, to the embrace of her murdered mother, but she visits her granddaughter's dreams, dressed as she was on the ship to America. The small wooden trunk from that trip sits in the granddaughter's bedroom. Elizabeth smooths the quilt with work-rough hands. She smooths the woman's hair, hair white like her own. She knows the eyes under the lids are her own blue. In the lost language, she croons to her granddaughter, now a grandmother herself. Love flares in the sleeper's dream, blue as a Sabbath candle flame, warm as the kitchen of her grandmother's house. Thank you. And
Thank you so much, Joan, for that beautiful reading. I'm sure that there are many questions, and I'm sure you have the answers. And Karen is ready to kick that off with you, Karen.
I
Okay.
want to show you an object first. I have that tea set sent that my Uncle Joe sent from the Philippines. Nothing to drink from, it's just to look.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Joan.
Yeah. So ask me questions.
You know what? The first question first I just want to say thank you so much for sharing those poems and your thoughts and for writing this beautiful, beautiful collection of poetry. It is so moving. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing this with us. And I'm so glad we have a recording so that the unfortunate people that couldn't make it tonight will still be able to hear your wonderful reading. So that's important. First, I want to ask you, what would you like to say that your poems didn't just say to us?
Well, I'll say a few things. That when I was writing this, and I wrote it in 6 months, doing a great deal of research, and only one of the poems I had written before. There are 34 poems in the book.
Wow.
And there was a lot of research. I understood for the first time what it's like to be a novelist and have characters in your mind. And novelists talk about how their characters talk to them and talk to each other and become real.
Mhm.
And during that time, these 7 characters were real to me. I saw them, I heard them, and I had to flesh them out and make them real. I only knew 4 of them.
That was going to be one of my questions is how many of these family members did you actually know? They all seem in the book, it seems as if you had been in the room with each one of them. It's just so wow.
That's what I was going for. At one point I was frustrated and I said to a fellow poet, I just wish I could be there in that apartment. I wish I had, just for a minute, I wish I could listen to them. And she said, you can. You have the imagination to do that. And
the poems, it feels like you were there. And the other thing I wanted to say, it's so interesting going through, and I did read it page 1 through. I read it in order.
but
It's so interesting how, and I wanted to ask you how you made these choices, that some of them are in first person, as if, you know, the reader is reading the person's in their own voice. And then in others, you're in third person. And then, and it's sometimes you're in a lot of the information about these different family members is conveyed in the voice of one of the family members about someone else. And it all seems like these people are actually speaking these poems. And I'm just wondering what your process was for deciding, well, in this poem, this person is going to speak for themselves, and I'm going to step back and speak for them. Oh, this poem, I'm going to let them speak, but they're going to be talking about the other woman. How did that come to you? Were they telling you that, or did you make the conscious choice to?
well, I'll tell you how it started writing the persona poems. I had to figure out why my Uncle Rube was the brutal man that he was.
Mm,
And that is how he's remembered. Nobody liked him. He did a lot of damage in the family. And I needed a way to understand him.
mhm,
And the only way I could figure out was to speak in his voice. And what do you know? I did figure it out.
yeah.
I understood, I had information from his grandson, from the daughter of his third wife. So I had some information
Right.
from his obituary, from this and that. But as I wrote, I understood the losses that he had endured, the desperation that he felt when his first wife died and he was left with a teenage girl.
Mm.
I recommend writing persona poems. Just try it out. And then I realized, hey, if I do this with everyone, how much more am I going to get? And I got so much. And where did it all come from? Research, yes, but my memory and my
Yeah.
imagination created these real people.
Yeah, they all feel true to, it really does feel like these are the actual people representing themselves and telling their stories.
I
It's,
want to read you something that I wrote up. Um, sorry. Um, my research took, I'll just read a little bit of that poem, the persona poem about Rube. Okay, this is just a little bit. Jet Auto Parts. That was my business. 3 wholesale warehouses, my empire. We made out just fine, if I say so myself. Shysters and gonifs everywhere in business. They learned not to mess with me. I socked away the profits and lived frugal. So,
see, that is a great example of these characters, or they show so much about themselves and their relationships through the voices that you are giving them in these poems.
his
It's,
voice, his era, his resentments.
mm-hmm,
So this is what I've written. My research took me to the Pacific Front of World War II, Jewish wedding fashions in the early 1900s, slang of the 30s and 40s, methods of making bathtub gin, obituaries, Orthodox religious practice, common names of Belarusian Jews, and much more. A Yiddish speaker checked the manuscript and glossary for accuracy. Everything I could make factual is factual. My larger search was for the truth, which lay hidden in an amalgam of history, imaginative access to my ancestors' voices, deep knowledge of my difficult, evasive mother, and memory. The intense concentration of poetry writing in all its forms served me well. I can't swear that my grandmother banged pots and slammed doors when she was angry at her husband, but I have done so myself, and I allow her to in the poem Elizabeth's Silence, which begins, "To the mother goes no power." Unblessed, Unsung may be seen as historical fiction, but it speaks truthfully for 7 unrecorded lives. I believe it honors them.
I believe it does too, Joan. And I think anybody that reads this collection will believe that also. It is a beautiful way to honor your family and to share those people with all of us. And I don't want to do so much talking. So is there anyone in the audience? I'm seeing Maureen. Yeah, you guys just wave at us and unmic, because I know people have questions for Joan or comments, whatever. It's
Yep.
that time now.
I was curious, Joan, if as part of your research, you found any letters or diaries or journals from any of the relatives.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I didn't have letters without this. My mother's cousin, Seal, wrote a memoir in her 90s, and she lived to 103. And she was a remarkable woman who grew up in extreme poverty and with terrible she and her brother and sister were terribly neglected. And she became a social worker. So a remarkable woman. And the first chapter of this memoir told me so much. I mean, I got a lot from that. Of course, I asked my mother if she'd read it, and she said, she thinks she knows everything. And I said, well, what did she get wrong? And she went, "Ah." So I don't know. I don't know. It was what I had.
I'm glad you had that. I think it worked. Did anybody else have a question? Catherine, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So keeping in mind the line from the poem titled The Box, to listen, I must listen to myself. And also the line from Elizabeth's Travels, love flares in the sleeper's dream. What inner truths grew or were cultivated through writing these poems, and going through this process?
Well, I've realized as I was writing it that I was searching for what made my mother, for what created my very unhappy and difficult mother. And that was, in the end, the inner truth that I came to. Yeah.
And how does that sit with you now?
There's a deep satisfaction of, I feel like I did her a service that I wish I could have done when she was alive. And I was able, I was able to do her an actual service, which when you read the book, you'll see what I did at the end. Yeah,
It's
I know,
beautiful.
I know you know that.
I do know that. Thank you.
Oh, Thomas has his hand raised. Can you, do you want to unmute Thomas?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the questions that was raised by this book for me is how do you feel about a member, maybe generations past you, writing a book like this about your own life? And how do you think your own record of your life has been laid in the poetry books and the poetry that you've had published? Do you think that you are sung in a way, whereas the generations before you are unsung? I was really interested in what would be the Joan book? What would be the Joan Unblessed Unsung?
Mhm. Oh my. What what
That's deep.
will my children and their children say about me, write about me? I feel I feel as fully expressed as I can be. But they can say and write whatever they like. Is that what you mean, Thomas?
Yeah, I think one of the things about this book that was such an interesting interplay for me is that you don't know how they'd feel about, this book. You didn't have the opportunity to share this book with them. And that was kind of really a source of grief and really a source of kind of strife in the manuscript. And I think, yeah, it begged that question to me. And I know it's kind of a hard one to imagine, but just knowing you, I think they would say just lovely things. But yeah, this book begged that question to me.
Aren't you sweet? Well, I did write a book about my daughter, Claire, and that writing that book and with her approval, I think we came to more of an understanding than we had ever had before. Yeah.
Yeah, Joan, I think that was part of what was so moving for me about this book was that I felt like this was basically several generations of family that you are here now and you have this desire to know them. And this was a time and people that didn't like now. Here we have Joan, she's writing poems and talking and expressing, and there's all this openness, and these are family members that's not how they were living.
No.
They weren't sharing their feelings, they weren't talking about their lives, and so you've kind of brought them into reality by doing the research and feeling into what maybe hopefully they were like. And what a beautiful way to honor people who don't have voices. They didn't share their voices with us.
They didn't share their voices, and not only that, they came from trauma. They came from, I mean, an overused word, but they came here because of terror, and they did not talk about it. This is all four of my grandparents. I never heard from any of them. Well, I only knew three of them about the old country. Not a word,
Right.
not
Right.
one word. A story too tragic for American children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regina? Regina's
Yeah.
always our timekeeper. And how are we doing
Right.
here? Because I'm like, I'm going to talk to Joan for another 3 hours now, but that's
Right. Well, we
probably
do have a
not
list that
reasonable.
is starting. I take this opportunity to remind those of you who would like to participate in the open mic, to please put your name in the chat, or if you can't get to the chat, you can tell me right now and I'll write it down and all of that. Okay. But you all continue.
Are you handling that, Regina? Because I have just been staring at Joan nonstop the whole time.
Right.
So
Okay. I've got
I don't
you.
know what's going on in the chat.
I've got you. I've got you. And certainly at the end of it all, Joan, we want you to be thinking about one poem that you want to close us out with. So
Okay.
yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Joan
Yeah.
gets the final word on the evening.
I better get on that.
Start
Get
thinking
on
about
that.
that.
That's it. That's
I-
it. So
I want to hear your open mic poems.
okay. Well, we are getting ready to get started with that. Right now I have Christy, Karen, Thomas, Catherine. Who else is interested in participating in the open mic? You can come off mute and let me know who you are, and I'll put you down.
Come on, y'all. You know you
Now
wanna
we
be
have
heard.
15 people in this room.
I know. That was not 15 names I just heard. So
I see Earl Huband over there. I can't believe I
know.
don't see
Is
his
Earl gonna
name.
share with us tonight? I see Priscilla too. I know Priscilla's got some poems. No pressure, y'all. No pressure.
A lot of
Maybe
pressure.
a little bit of pressure. Regina, I didn't hear your name on the list of people. that
I'll be up there somewhere. I was
Okay,
trying to,
all right.
like
You're gonna
snuggle in
just-
between somebody else.
just
Anybody
wedge in there.
else? Okay. Well, we'll get okay. Very good. Hannah. Very good. I
Yay,
love
all
it.
right.
Oh,
Okay.
Maureen, we're gonna miss Maureen. She can't stay.
Oh,
Mm, okay. All right, but if anybody else wants to, just drop me a note in the open mic and we'll get into it. All right. So I'm going to, oh Lord, okay.
oh wait, Hannah dropped back
Just
and she's
came
coming
back
back
in.
in. We lost her.
Very good. I didn't realize that. So yeah, but
I
she
just
put her
saw
name
that.
down. So we've got her
Okay,
here.
good. Hannah,
Okay.
you're back with us. Sorry about losing you there for a minute.
Yes, yes. Okay. So we're gonna start with Thomas. Thomas Jackson. I'm gonna pin you. Come on down. We're excited to hear from you.
Thank you. I had a very poorly timed nasal spray there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Allergies have been kicking my butt. So I have a poem. I don't know if you all know the journal Brillig by Deborah
Oh,
Doolittle.
yes.
I got this in the mail, and it's this lovely, like, hand-bound
Gorgeous.
journal, and it's a micro journal, and I had 2 poems published in it, which was like great. I've been on a roll this spring. So this is my poem called Errand. Yet another pilgrimage to the hill above your grave. My severe approach unchanged, rhythmic bouts of yelling out at the dark, denying, to hinder confrontation when I take a breath. I feel its heft, its theft of untouched air stalled between lips and truth. In order to grieve, I must allow what I can't admit, cook sky to lightning, turn skin to singe striking, die a bit more inside for no purpose. Get up, get ready to face it, then fold time, fluid death swallows. I'm devoted, bound to spending every day doing this goddamn errand, carrying. And that's the poem.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Thank you, Thomas. And I'm so glad you showed us Brilling. It reminds me that Brilling is open for submission. So
Is it
and I
really?
saw Deborah Doolittle at our recent meeting, and she wants to encourage everyone to kind of submit. So I'm going to see if I can find a submission link for that and put it in the chat as well. So thank you
Thomas,
so much, Thomas. That was
it-
wonderful.
It is Brillig. Is that correct? Brillig?
Uh-huh.
Brillig?
No, it's an
Brillig.
N in it. That's me messing it up.
Yeah, don't be
Right.
adding some letters to it. You're messing people up, Regina.
Messing up, folks. I'm gonna get it fixed.
You're going on the hunt for it. All right.
Yeah.
Thomas,
Okay.
thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, yes. So next we have Miss Christy Williams. She's gonna no doubt regale us with something fantastic.
I don't know if I don't know what I'll call this one, but this one was published last week in Reedy Branch Review, so I'll read this one tonight. This is called The First Noel. It's Christmas Day, and Noel is dressing a new doll in teal-footed zip-up pajamas. The outline of a dog is stitched on the front left pocket. She remembers wearing these PJs and matching pigtails. Noelle remembers a bullet whizzing past her ear. She felt the air move as it ricocheted. Her ear still prickles when she remembers that sound and the splintered cabinet that stopped its path. Noelle examines her new doll in these hand-me-down clothes. When she touches her doll's ear, it does not shiver. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Oh, Christy.
You know, I'm excited about that. That is published in the Reedy Branch Review. That is my institution's journal. And so I'm so
Yes,
excited
ma'am.
to have such wonderful poets, even some more here who have actually submitted and are a part of that. And I'll put that also in the chat as well, the Reedy Branch Review link, so that you can read those wonderful poems for so many of the poets that we know. So very good. Very
Regina,
good.
thank you for sharing the links, and
It is
who
brilliant.
else shared
No
a
end.
link a minute ago. Thank you, everybody who's sharing links and comments in the chat. Keep it up, y'all.
Karen, I would like for you to know that it is brillig, no end. So I was right.
No end.
I was
No,
right,
no.
even though I didn't know I was right, but I was right. Just want to let you know that.
Okay, so it does have an N or no N? No N. No N.
No end.
No N. Brillig.
No end.
Brillig.
It's like in
Brillig.
Jabberwocky, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brillig.
Brillig.
Yeah.
Brillig. Okay. All right. So next we have Karen Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
yes. Hold on just
All
a
right,
minute.
y'all.
Let me make sure you're pinned because I want you to show up.
Oh, I don't need to be any bigger on the screen than I am already. Oh, for Pete's sake.
You need to
Did I get
be.
big? I hope I didn't. I look tiny to myself. That's fine.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all fine. So okay, this is the poem I'm gonna share, and I was just kind of impressed with myself for making it look like that on the page. Anyway, it makes me happy. So this is for y'all. Advice for working poets. Actually, it's for myself, but I'm pretending it's for everybody else. Advice for working poets. There is a path through how and why. From earth and ground to open sky, you have to open up the door, leave painted walls and concrete floor for random breeze in nodding trees, ungoogled birds, unlooked up words. Abandon for a time your needing rhythm, meter, reason, rhyme. It isn't only all about the thinking outside of the box. Sometimes you have to wonder, literally step outside of your box and take the literal you into the literal out of doors and breathe some very rare, unfiltered, very freshly fresh air. That's my advice to poets, y'all. Sometimes you need to get up from your desk and just go outside and breathe. It's a thing.
I'm over here agreeing with you, muted. I agree. I agree. But not right now in the thunderstorm, but I agree.
Right. Yeah. Only if the sky's clear.
Only
Yeah.
if the sky. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay. Miss Catherine, are we ready? Come on down.
Yep, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you. I can.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
wait a minute. Hold on one second, because hit the wrong thing. Well,
You gotta blow her up, don't you?
I do.
Oh gosh.
Mm.
I can stay small. That's okay.
Oh, there you go. No, never. Take up space.
Um, So what I'm about to read is part of a 7-part poem, just one section. Just each section is a thread in this larger tapestry. But this is just a moment within the whole. So I invite you to just listen with your heart that speaks here, knowing that it is part of a broader unfolding. And I'm very happy that the flow and going after Karen for this reading. The title of the group of poems is Shinrin. And Shinrin is a Japanese word that means forest. Shinrin, on sensing forests. She notices that because the cedar tree leans from under the canopy and arcs away from its anchor of roots in the shadows, its arms can harvest the light. Because the monarchs silently clap their powdery wings to height and depth around this spiny, spiraling site, Shinrin lets her hands rest from obligation. She becomes a bit tipsy in her dance at the edge of this woodland. She moves with the green-leafed sway under a sunlit sky, unleashing the silks of sorrow. She perceives the forest as holy because her world is now here and large enough for dreams and angels.
I'm trying to unmute and say
I'm doing
it
the
was so
same
beautiful.
I'm doing the
Thank
same
you.
thing,
So
and I'm just like,
beautiful.
oh, that was, yes, thank you so much. That was
Absolutely beautiful. Next we have Hannah. Hannah is in the room. You didn't.
I
Let's see.
am, and my
You
child
are,
is
you
no
are.
longer in the room.
We're so glad to have you in the room.
So, in keeping with the nature theme that we've had for the last little bit, picturesque for the home garden. I meant it as a solace, the garden, an impulse of beauty, something I could see even from across the room, holding my son as he burrowed into my breasts and sucked like black gold all that was in me into himself, even as studied muteness pulled, inexorable, the house into silence, even from behind an oil-slick sink avalanching into my red hands as the evening kneaded darkness into the branches, tucked it between the blades of grass, as fireflies, rising like hope, most prolific from what's least tended. That's how I dreamed it. How I pulled it from the spaces between minutes, as if that time were the vast reaches between stars, how I made it something shaped between 4 gloved hands on 1 shovel. This is a weed. This is a flower. We spread a rough brown quietness between each green thing. We build the earth. Anyhow, that's how I meant it. What I saw when there was nothing green yet under the tree, no one yet curled under my heart. The trouble of it is that meanings, dreams, a window framing a picture of an idea, they have no scent. How to hold a scarlet rose sinuously beckoning over the window, the fleshy, bitter petals of it, the shift in scent, from the cracking bud to the blown bloom, the hot air that crisps the petals blackly from within the room. I meant it as finished, as waiting, as seen and seen, but peace and plenty never come of nothing. There's no high place where hardship transforms to harvest. Every day is something of both. There's the work of it, some days roughing me back into quietude with my hands in the dirt, or as often an unfinished argument lying there in full view, always, from every window. Oh, I'm nothing if not inclined to overdo. There, the balance, bounty, burden, balm, and bane bound up like a bag of zucchini, like the waking hours.
Okay, Regina and I are both moving our mouths and no sound's coming out. Thank you, Hannah. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I
was
found it.
typing.
I'm sorry.
I was typing so much in there. Oh my goodness. Y'all
Oh,
be
my
sure
goodness.
to look at the chat and save it before we leave the Zoom tonight. There's so
Yeah.
much great goodness in there. So
Wonderful. Absolutely
thank you,
wonderful.
Hannah.
So before Paul, is there anyone else out there before I move forward? Is there anyone else out there who wants to share?
If
And
you
I
can't
don't know
unmute,
how
just
to get
wave it.
on this. Am I on here?
You are. Let me get you. Let me get you.
Catherine, there's a couple of
Catherine.
Catherines here. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. You know what? Okay, hold on. You're Catherine.
Sonny.
So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna find you.
Regina's using her mad tech skills here.
They're mad, right? They're
Mine
they're
not
mad,
happy,
all right.
not mad.
The thing keeps moving. That's why I'm trying to catch her. Oh
We're
my
getting
goodness.
there. We're gonna
We're
get you
getting
reeled
there. I
in,
promise
Catherine.
you.
We're gonna
Nothing
get
will
you reeled
happen
in.
until you. There you are. Okay. Very good. And here you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm a good friend of Joan's, and we've been in a 2-person workshop for over a year on the telephone. So I really appreciate how beautifully Joan handles something so dense as history, and with the characters that came alive. And while we were listening to this, I decided that the way you come alive through these characters you've never known is through reading their words. That is almost an intercellular soul that comes out, that you step into that soul. So I have a fairly short poem here that's about my mother and my grandchild and my son. And I didn't set out to write it. Someone gave us a prompt, and the prompt was, in your such and such house, your mother said, or something like that. So it was just a very open ending. And I remembered something my granddaughter said when she was 3 years old. And I'll tell you this because it's the catch line in the poem. I heard her whisper in the bed at night. She said, "You know, I'm Bonnie." Bon, Bon, there's so much sadness in this world. At 3 years old, she said that. Okay, and I almost missed it. So this is called In Bed at Night. In my mother's house, there was no heart. In my mother's heart, she was always looking for a home. I threaded stories of her, ones neither of us had heard, soft ones with feathers at the bottom. When my son had a daughter, she came into this blueness, knowing details with the past. In bed at night, playing puppets with the covers, she had the smallest one whisper, "You know, there's so much sadness in this world." She was 3, and I almost didn't hear that. It was dark. It was dark in the room and inside her head. She thought in stride with nothing. Humped up sheet, her cave in a city on earth that just might go away. So that was a poem. My granddaughter was 20 years old when I wrote that, and she was 3 when she said it. So it took me a little silly prompt to get it out.
That was beautiful.
Thank
I'm
you.
so thankful for that prompt.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, so such history we have wonderful access to, but I do think it's through the written word that we read, that it's other people's words that we become that soul itself.
The
Thank you.
irony of this, Catherine. That's not your name, no? Catherine.
Catherine is my real name. My
That's
nickname
your
is
real name.
Yeah.
Right, right. You know, the irony is I typed in the chat, in my mother's heart, she was always looking for a home,
Mhm.
which is just because home has been on my mind. And so the poem that I'm going to be reading next is actually called Like Home.
There we go.
The irony of it all, it's amazing how we can come into a space like this, and we have this wonderful reading, and then these poems just kind of flow and kind of connect together. And so what you'll hear in this poem are some allusions to like migration and other things. It may or may not be finished. I started writing it while I was at the Poetry Society meeting at Weymouth, thinking I
This
might
is
get
that
through it.
poem.
This is that poem.
Okay.
Yes, this is that
This is
poem. Okay. So I begin with an epigraph. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark.
Hmm.
You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well. From home by Warson Shire. Like home. These mouths with sharp, sharp teeth rip apart, run amok, follow chum, breach the face of the water, leap into broad daylight. Brown sea run trout have swum across, moved and migrated, grown legs, walked across, run jumping, spread wings and flown across, trying to find a haven like home. Ebony rays forced, trafficked across, filled with boats stacked across, cried, died, wail, strapped like bodies on the cross, praying for a haven like home. Yet these sharp mouths have sharpened their sharp teeth, bloodied their tongues, have justified, have lied, have smiled, have hidden their hands, have closed their eyes, have smelled the fear, have circled near. And God's creatures still running, trying to find a haven, trying to find a haven, trying to find a haven like home.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, Regina. I was making sounds during that poem.
I'm glad. Look, I'm glad you made sound. It may or may not be finished.
Making some sounds. Had myself on mute, making a lot of sounds.
Right.
Most of the sounds were that.
Well, we are excited again to be back with Joan, who is going to close us out with our final open mic poem. I'm going to, let me make sure. Yep. I'm going to pin you, Joan.
Sounds painful, but it's not.
It does sound painful. This won't be painful. It's very short. This is the last poem in the book. Coda. As I close, pity flows over for my mother. Pity I proffer, and a daughter's life free of rancor. Elsie had no chance at joy. I do.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Joan.
so much for just, leaving it all on the table for us. Yes.
Everybody can unmute if you'd
Yes.
like to show some noisy appreciation for Joan
Yes.
and this.
Thank you. So beautiful.
Yeah. And don't forget, don't forget to if you haven't done it yet, go on and get Unblessed, Unsung. I'm posting it again for the last time right here in case you missed it.
Earl's got one. Earl's
Girls got one.
Catherine's
Oh,
got
very
one.
good.
All
Very
right.
good. Very
Regina's
good.
got one. I've got one. Betty's got one.
Yeah,
Hey, if you
yeah.
have one, you can get another because this is a beautiful gift.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
They're
It is.
all
It
the
is.
rage.
They are all the cool kids have them.
Yes, and when you get one, oh, Kat has 3.
Oh, okay.
When you get yours, please read it from beginning to end because it is a story.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it will
Very
change. It
meaningful.
changes you, I think. It's just so, it opens your heart.
And it
I really-
inspires you to
I really
consider
feel-
your own lineage,
Yes,
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
stories.
that is part of what I'm out for, to send you back to your own ancestors. Yeah.
And just such a beautiful way to honor your feelings, Joan, and your people,
Mhm.
the people
Yeah.
that brought you here.
And your people.
So
Thank
we'd
you.
like to thank all of you for coming. This will be available on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. That will probably come out sometime, maybe this week or this weekend. I can pull it together, get it edited and pulled together, and it will be there for your rewatching, your forwarding,
Yes.
yeah, and all of that. Included there will also be the link to the book, so you can share that with your friends as well. And again, we thank Joan, and we thank all of you for taking the time to just sit here in poetic communion and celebrate
Yes.
this book being birthed into the world. Karen, any last words?
You all read the book, love the book, share the book, and let people know how wonderful it is. And Regina, can you remind everybody how to save the chat, because there are so many great links that have been put into this chat, and if you save it on your computer, there's
Right.
some magical way you can search for chat on your computer and then be able to look at all these great comments and
Right.
information that's been shared. And in case you need the link to buy Joan's book, it is in there also. It's in the chat
Okay.
also.
So I'm trying to remember what I went to get it.
I know. I'm trying to remember, how did I save the chat?
How did I save
It's
the
not
chat?
coming. I was
Go
going to
to
try to
the-
play it off, but
Go
Go
to
to the
the.
3 dots next to the top of the chat. Click
That's
on
right.
that. Hit
Ex-
save chat.
That's exactly right. It's right at the top.
Sweet little guy. I want to thank everyone for coming and for that outstanding open mic.
It was.
Really
So,
outstanding.
we draw only the best people.
I think this is
right.
the cream of the crop, and I'm just sorry I didn't hear from others who are here. And I mean you. So not accusing anyone, but I just really enjoyed this open mic.
All
Yeah.
right, everybody. So we thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at more from NCPS Presents on our new book launches, and have a fabulous evening.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks, Regina.
You are welcome. You are welcome.